What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to ComixKings. This is Brandon.
And Bryce.
And John.
Surprise!
Surprise! Boom, he hopped on last second. He says, I'm crashing the party. Put me on. I'm like, yo, John, you're welcome anytime. So, John, thanks for hitting me up. Always love being on streams with you, man.
Heck yeah.
And anyway, welcome everybody back to Weekly Wrap-Up, your favorite Friday night show where we talk about all the comic books we read, recap, review them, and give you guys our unopinionated thoughts, whether we are going to continue with them, whether we're not. So everything you want to know, if you didn't miss something or you feel like you're missing out on a book, this is the show to watch. Thank you guys for being here. And again, if you guys are in the chat, you have a question, a comment, anything you want to add, right, to the conversation, feel free to do so, and you will forever and ever be on the show, like Missing Link, saying, my liege, what's up? What is up? What's going on? He says, surprise, beware my power.
Everybody thinks I'm Guy Gardner for some reason.
And then we got Sheena,
Hey, Sheena.
Wifey, 420 in here, not 4.20, it's 420 because we're having fun this weekend. Thank you guys so much for being here. Quick little house cleaning for the channel. We're at 200 subs, so thank you guys very much. We're just going to continue to grow, which has been a lot of fun. Doing the whole transition, you guys know that if you were on IGTV with us, this is like the new, where the content's going to be. We have a bunch of stuff coming up. On Monday, I'm going to be live with PCP, Robbie, Pop Culture Philosopher. So if you guys have been listening into that kind of civil war and other streams, it's finally happening over here. We're calling it a civil war. And then Philip Kennedy Johnson will be on the show, will be returning on the show on Wednesday, talk about The Last God, Action Comics, and Alien. This guy is a big name now, so I'm very thankful to have that connection, to have him back on the show. And I've had advanced copies of both of the books dropping on Wednesday. And I'm telling you guys, you don't want to miss out. So definitely buy Alien #3 and buy Action Comics 1031. They're worth it. And the art is stunning in both of them, just as much as the storytelling. But speaking of great stories, let's jump right into the books. First book we're going to talk about is Wonder Girl #1. And I'm going to throw this one to John because I know he loved this book.
I'm a big Joel Jones fan, obviously. I mean, I'm a Lady Killer fan. I liked his first few arcs on Catwoman, first few arcs on Catwoman. Artwork is always going to be top drawer every time when she's working on a book. And that is totally true here. She nails this book. It is gorgeous. And she doesn't stick to the 9-panel layouts. She gets really wild with it. There's a couple that I think are just super stunning, even on her scale. Then as a writer, I think she's really growing. I like this more than the Future State issues, which I really enjoyed, but I felt like we're a little uneven, a little choppy. The artwork was better than the writing. Here, it's all sort of clicking for me. So I thought this was a superior story so far than even the Future State stuff.
Right, and I 100% agree. I think the Future State stuff was a little bit uneasy because they had such a time limit, right? And they had to hit these benchmarks saying, this is a cool character, guys. Let's get in on the action and let's showcase what she's all about. You know, throwing in the Jenny Frison covers, throwing in all these super cool variants. These I didn't feel like had such A-class list of variants. They had some cool ones, but you had to pay out the butt for them, which I'll never do.
The ratio variants were beautiful, but expensive.
Right. So biggest tip, if you have the money to buy a variant, go for it. But again, you're buying a book for the interiors just as much as the cover. So if the interiors if the cover means that much to pay $50 more, go for it. But I really have to fall in love with the cover, and I didn't. I love the A cover. So whenever you have a solid A cover, I'm going to go for it. Man.
She did a great job with this cover. The hot and cold between her and the background. And then when you really get into it, there's a ton of detail work in the back here that you can't really see on a YouTube channel, but like beautiful.
Yeah. So it's just like you're getting used to the background and the setting where this story is going to end up taking place in this issue. So it's introducing you to this world in the background. And it's going to end up coming to the foreground as we saw towards the end of the issue and what she's developing in this story. So you have 3 clans that are all going to be going head to head. And Yara is kind of stuck in the middle. She goes to Brazil kind of to learn about her heritage that she should have already known about.
It sounds like she didn't really experience a lot of her life there, which is I didn't recognize that as part of the Future State story. That seems like maybe not a retcon, but certainly new information to her character.
Right. I think that's mostly because Future State took place in a different dimension, right? And in my mind, everything in DC is going to tie back into what Death Metal ended up as, which is the many multiverses.
Right.
Okay, keep in mind, Future State is a different multiverse. It's a possibility. Right, I think when she crossed over here from the Infinite Frontier one-shot, right, it was like she was already placed in the setting of the airport. So that's really what I think is going on. We got Daymares. Oh my gosh, this guy. We got Daymares, the 9.8 king in the chat. I do call him the 9.8 king.
What's going on, man?
A random 9.8, it will appear in his collection, and you will never know until you're on Comicories. Steve, Hip Hops, and me, what is going on? If you guys did read anything this week, let us know. But I really did enjoy us learning about her past, how it's connecting, right? She definitely has an origin story that's kind of sad, right? Her mom died right in front of her from like this Viking dude who's already teased to be in the future of the story. So I'm like, that's cool, but the whole thing is that the different art styles as Joelle Jones is introducing these three distinct characters of the Wonder Woman mythos. And again, she's stuck in the middle of it. The other thing I really want to point out is she's not over-sexualized at all, which I appreciate in a character. This book felt very slow. I was talking to a few other people off stream about what they thought about it. A lot of people said it was slow, but it was great. It was a great change of pace, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't action-packed. It was definitely a setup issue in the sense of, we're getting to know her a little bit. And I will say she is gorgeous. And so in that way, you could say, yeah, I mean, she's sexy. Is she being sexualized? I mean, I don't know. I mean, she's definitely an object of affection.
Right.
But at the same time, I think her costume is not as risque as a lot of women superhero costumes go.
Sweatpants and joggers.
And she spends the most of it in a hoodie and sweatpants. Like, let's just be honest. Like, that's how this is her outfit for like the majority of the book is she's got the sweatshirt and the sweatpants, and she's just chilling with her music. This is easily my favorite panels of the book. I love the fact that we get to see like Harley Quinn and we got Barbara Gordon, and you get like this fun little like, where does she fit into this fractured DC universe right now?
Right.
Really great.
And I honestly think that panel is kind of Joelle Jones saying, guys, this is a DC reboot unlike any other, because we're telling you up front we don't know what we're doing. Which
we're
is
making it up as we go.
Station, sir. Which that's not a knock on DC. I'm enjoying their individual stories.
Totally.
But I got Major Hamilton vibes from this scene because of the whole history has its eyes on me. I was feeling that theme song right there.
I'm down with that.
I definitely think that she is going to be a leading factor in what's yet to come with the Quintessence, and I think that they're going to push her character, which is why this issue is slower and a little bit more get to know her, is because they want us to know her before they throw her in our face, which I have a feeling it's going to happen. I don't want it to, but I mean, I think some people want her to be thrown in their faces, but I mean,
I want the Wonder Women comic. I want the book later on with Diana and Yara like as a team,
and Donna.
I would be down for that. Yeah, all three of them.
Throw Cassie in there too.
Dude, give me that book. I mean, once you've established her, right? Give her this year of whatever. I want a Wonder Women comic at some point. That would be killer.
Dude,
the remorse for me that I feel right now for passing on this issue just keeps building and building.
You gotta pass on stuff. Like I have not bought a legitimately just straight Batman comic in a long time. And I'm a Batman fan, but you got to cut where you can just to make it work. And I skipped a great book that Brandon's going to mention later just because Chip Zdarsky wasn't writing it. And I was like, I don't know if I should get it. And then I hear this new Fantastic Four life story is really good because Zdarsky wrote the first life story arc with Spider-Man and now they're moving to is it Mark Russell? I think
it's Mark Russell and Sean Izakaze who drew him earlier. But anyway,
and I like Mark Russell. I mean, I've enjoyed his Only Begotten Son, the Jesus and Superman comic that he's been doing for Ahoy Comics.
Right. I enjoyed what he did with the Wonder comic line.
Okay.
He did Wonder Twins, I believe.
So I mean, I had to. My point was, sorry, that you have to skip stuff. So I totally understand. There's always that FOMO, a little bit of like, I should have read that.
Right. And I think like as people who each have their own YouTubes, each put out content, it's kind of our job to say, hey guys, this is how you don't overspend, right? This is how you look out for look out for yourself, and really just look out for your collection, because you got to take in mind, right? If you're pulling everything off the shelf, well, you're eventually going to run out of room for everything on the shelf, and you're not going to get to read everything. It's going to get rushed. So really like find time for what you like, don't feel pressured because everyone else is jumping onto this book. It may not be for you. And that's just the beauty of comics,
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right. But anyway, this book ends up, Yara gets roped in, pun intended, to kind of a situation underwater. And we're going to get to that. It's a character I'm not familiar with.
I didn't recognize it either.
I didn't recognize it either. So I guess it's a learning experience for all of us. Nick says we can't all be like Herm, get all the comics. So, I mean, to your point, I think that this book is something you should read, especially because it's a new character and it has hype. She's already pitched to be on the TV shows, but I feel like she's being treated like Miles Morales and being very organic, And
again, worst case scenario, you're getting a book with incredible artwork.
Right.
So even if you're like, I don't know that I love this, you're going to love the art. There's nobody who's going to read Joel Jones's stuff and say, no, but the artwork wasn't very good.
Right. That's always like a strong point, right? I know like sometimes her Catwoman especially was a little lacking in story, but the art and the
she was drawing it was fire.
Right.
I think the bigger issue on Catwoman for me was I think the schedule of release for that book got ahead of her, and she had trouble keeping up with drawing, writing, everything for that book, covers. It was just a ton. And I think after the first couple arcs, you could see how they had to start bringing other artists in, and it just kind of fell apart. But I still think that first arc was really good.
Yeah, I had the first arc, and I gave it to a buddy who was trying to get into Catwoman at the time. So
it was a good jumping on point for that, for sure.
Right, and because we were just talking about this book, I'm going to jump into Fantastic Four Life Story by Mark Russell and Sean Izakaze. It was solid. Sean Izakaze used to draw Fantastic Four at the early parts of Dan Slott's run, kind of in the middle issues. So the ones that no one read. So everything before Empire, like Sean Izakaze drew a little bit of. So it was, again, no one really read it except for me at the time, I feel like. But I stayed with that book. But yet, it's very similar to Spider-Man Life Story by Chip Zdarsky. I would have loved to see him write this book because he just knows characters so well and history so well.
Sure.
Mark Russell definitely has his fair share. I know that this issue was especially lacking because he wasn't alive at the time of everything going on. And I think that he did his research, but I don't think that he necessarily hit the major plot points of the 60s in a sense that some characters, some scenes were overemphasized. The art is phenomenal. It was one of the best Galactus panels I've ever seen. So
everybody's geeking on that splash of Galactus. I heard so many people saying this. Oh my God. I turned the page.
What's going on, Justin?
I saw Galactus and I just lost it.
Right. And I think we've seen Galactus being pushed so much in Fantastic Four with Antithesis and in other runs over the years. And Galactus has always been like that number one character you like. But really everything started with Man-Mole. Or Mole Man, right? He had he barely had a scene in here. I was like, oh, you didn't do your research.
Yeah, I would have expected more Mole Man and certainly Doom.
There was no Doom.
Issue 5 was first Doom, right? So shouldn't we have gotten Doom right there at the beginning? And for me, as much as I love the Galactus, an iconic Galactus story arc,
right?
Doom is the villain for the FF, and he's also the foil to Reed, and they have the same sort of passion, intelligence, and whatever. They just are perfect foils for one another.
Right. We did see Ricardo Jones in there, which he came in to say to the thing, hey, if you don't like what Reed, I can make you human again. which I thought was a really cool Easter egg. Like, and I don't want. So this story is it takes a twist. So they go to space, right? As it blows up, it's really Galactus's cosmic rays that blow up the plane and give them their powers, which I thought was like a neat little twist. When they came back, they were immediately called the Fantastic Four. So it was, and Ben automatically wakes up as a thing, and they have their stroll through the town being celebrated as the first heroes to be in space. And then the next page is just like, I'm fighting Mole Man. I'm just like for a panel. And it's like all these things happen off panel. So it was very like, if you never read Fantastic Four, I think that this book is a horrible jumping on point for you.
Sure.
Because
but I think that was true of the Spider-Man one as well. I would never have told somebody who had never read Spider-Man, read the life story first. I would have been like, no, you're going to miss the best parts of it are knowing what the history is and then seeing how they subvert it, Well,
I mean, the one thing I like about Spider-Man life stories, all the characters were true to their form. And I think that's just a testament to Zdarsky's writing. In this, I feel like their characters were written well. It was just the components of the book were out of order to me. Like, there's no reason why you need to have Black Panther at the wedding of Sue and Reed, because he didn't first appear for a few years later until 68 he came in. So I didn't really appreciate that. There are just things that kind of aggravated me as a fan. What's up? Hey, Frodo. Not all Jews look like Frodo.
Okay, I assume I'm Sam. I hope I'm Sam.
And
what was that, John?
I'm clearly the bearded old guy. Give me a freaking break. But yeah, this was a book that I knew that Chet is a big fan of. King Size Annual X-Men number 3. This is the only issue in my Omni, the first Claremont Omni, that I didn't own because I was like, why am I buying annuals? And it's in the omnibus. So I was like, okay, well, now I got to buy it. So
that book is phenomenal. George Perez drawing X-Men. I want more.
Right. So I had to buy it.
In there. It's fantastic. That book is, you can't say enough great things about that book.
So it was an underappreciated and forgotten book by me. So I had to.
See, I saw that book in a shop earlier, and I did not get it.
And talk about a book.
I did grab a copy of I did grab a copy of X-Men 120 though.
Ooh, good book.
Newsstand.
I mean, anything in that like 100s, early 200s, like this is 211 right here. I got as a gift from my man, Comic Man Andy today. But that was one of the first X-Men books I ever bought off of the rack when I was a kid. Loved that book.
Right. That book is... that was not the cameo. That was the full... Wait, no, 120 was a cameo. 120 is a cameo.
Yeah. 120 is the Alpha Flight
120
cameo.
is the book, too. That's the one that's way more valuable than 121.
Right.
So that's the book to... If you're an Alpha Flight aficionado, that's the one to get.
Which that was the last one I was missing for my Alpha Flight trilogy, so...
Right. How many subs do I have from Canada? Go.
TM Nerdy is probably a sub.
TM Nerdy.
TM Nerdy's on a live right now, but that's why he's not here.
When does Puck first appear? What issue is that? Because that's
Alpha Flight 1. That's Alpha Flight 1.
He is in Alpha Flight 1. Okay. Then I got to snag that one too.
Yeah, I do too.
I'm missing that one.
John is still a kid.
Yeah,
I like to think so.
There you go. But let's go back to this book. So. Where was it? So the whole plot twist was very rushed and everything. Like the different scenes, like they didn't start jumping through the years until the back end of the book, and they ended up at one in 1969, now being introduced to Franklin. But I don't think we got a good sense of the family four dynamic.
So they've already had kids in the first issue?
Yeah, they already had Franklin at the end of the first issue. So
that seems rushed.
And Reed is so fixated on Galactus going into the next issue. So
they saved Galactus really for issue 2, but he's got kids already in issue 1. That seems backwards to me. But
and Ben meets Alicia, which I liked. But the book was so out of order, and there are different things that I would have liked. Like you could have introduced the Super Scroll. You could have touched on that. You could have talked about
Scrolls should have been in there early. Yeah,
you could have had the Watcher. I would have liked it if this book was told in the perspective of the Watcher, taking you through the time.
Yep.
Because I think
if you gotta have the Watcher,
right? I think that would have been a bigger plot point, a better way of like you're going through time. So who better to tell you than the Watcher who first appeared in a Fantastic Four book, in an early Fantastic Four book. So, Bryce, you might want to answer this.
I haven't yet. As soon as I can get to a comic shop again, though, because I'm out of town right now, I will probably snag a copy if I can. I'll give it a
They'll
shot.
be.
Bryce, I will get you one.
They're not
going
going to disappear. There's plenty of them.
I
They
know,
print it.
yeah,
They
for
way
sure.
overprint that stuff. So
Right.
you're good on issue ones.
Exactly, John. And that's something I was telling Brandon before John even hopped on. He was reading it, and I said, like the '60s for Fantastic Four, everything happened. Like they basically had a dynasty, like a Boston Celtics dynasty during that era.
I mean, we didn't even discuss Black Panther's first appearance. I mean, that's
Right.
a huge Fantastic Four moment.
Right,
For
and
sure.
he was cameoed in their wedding panel, so I was like, okay.
Ooh.
There was nothing with the Inhumans, so I mean, I know I'm going through everything that they missed.
Submariner? Any Submariner? He didn't run off with Sue. That's like his whole shtick. He runs in and he grabs her and he runs off to the ocean with her. That's his shtick.
So, oh my gosh, am I echoing by the way?
Man.
Can you guys hear me echo?
I'm not hearing an echo.
Okay, because I'm hearing myself.
Sorry about that, Justin. That's just the first thing that came to my mind.
I mean, we could talk about a Pittsburgh Steelers dynasty because it's never ending, but
we can do
It's
Lakers.
ended.
We can do Lakers. I'm fine with the Lakers dynasty.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's talk about those dynasties.
it's Clippers. It's the Clippers time. Sorry, guys, but you guys barely made it in the playoffs this year.
Just 0 for 2, man.
I know, but I know I'm very nitpicking. It's just I would have liked something different than Galactus.
Sure.
I understand if you're in your.
I mean, it has to happen. I understand that, but in the first issue, maybe not so much.
Right. I would have liked more Doom, more Namor, more kind of like a. As they were going through that parade that they introduced in the book, they could have just introduced a buttload of characters, right? And like have them appear in order of when they appeared, right? So like Namor, Scroll, boom, 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 going down the order. Right. And I'm just like throwing ideas. That's just like Mark Russell finally handing a new title.
Maybe once they get to the issue with the 80s, because I know Doom was a big part of the John Byrne run, then he'll come into play. But as far as Galactus, like the 60s, Fantastic Four was Galactus and Surfer.
Right.
Did the Surfer show up at all?
No.
That's a miss.
I was assuming that Surfer would be and Galactus would be in issue 2, and they would just tease at it. But it sounds like they really had a lot of Easter eggs in issue.
Right. I think this is Mark Russell saying this was my favorite character. Let me just write him. Right. And as a writer, and you're doing a Fantastic Four life story, it's good to have your favorite character in there, right? Like, and Zdarsky had a thing for Kraven. He had a thing for Takak. You know.
I loved the Spider-Man life story. Right. I think it worked because of the way he layered each decade and what happened chronologically in those decades. So you got a little Bagley, a little McFarlane, sort of like throwbacks in the different eras. I don't know if that works if they don't time it right, like you're saying in FF, which is again another reason why I skipped it.
Right.
I know you guys say those are like horrible jumping on points. I did jump on with Spider-Man life story.
You'd never read Spidey before?
I knew about
just
Spidey
a little bit.
I knew a little bit about Spidey, but it was the life story done well by Zdarsky. They gave me the glimpses to want to go back and read read the Michelini and Bagley, to read the Roger Stern, to read Kraven's Last Hunt.
So good, Kraven's Last Hunt.
Right. Oh my God, best story ever. Yeah, so like I think this book had more misses than hits, and I think that Mark Russell isn't strong enough as a writer to put maturity first in a book. That's why I think like Zdarsky and Bagley did so well, because Bagley's able to change his style, and Zdarsky has proven to be a solid storyteller. I
might read it in trade or digitally, I think, at some point, because you know, with the Marvel app, you just wait 6 months and you can read it. But like, I totally didn't feel like reading it this time around. Unless they had said Zdarsky was writing it, I would have probably got it.
Right. And Bryce, you mentioned that the Spider-Man life story got you into Spider-Man. And I think that this, if you went back and read those like first, like the 60s, you would have seen that, guys, this is so much more. Right. And I think it's Spider-Man got more knowledge.
That's how I felt with like the Death of Gwen Stacy for the Spider-Man one, because that I had read prior to life story.
Right.
And so I got a little bit of both, so I can see where both sides of that are coming from. But if it's done well, I feel like it could serve as like here's a sampler pick and choose from this what you want to go back and get more of.
Right, and V says, I saw the new Defenders book is going to have the Surfer. Yes. So Al Ewing and Javier Rodriguez, the same guy who did the other history of the Marvel Universe, they're teaming up, and they are going to be doing a Defenders mini-series, which is great for that book, and I'm excited. Looking forward to it. Al Ewing is a great creator, so definitely that's to look forward to. We talked about Way of X. Bryce, I'm going to throw that one to you. Give your overall thoughts on the book. This is by Simon Spurrier and Bob Quinn.
Way of X is just one of those titles right now where all the other X titles feel so grand in some way or another. Way of X just feels very personal. It feels very contained, and I really feel like I'm getting to know more about Kurt as I go along. It's honestly yes, absolutely, and I would agree with that too, Chet. But yeah, Way of X is just for this wave of X-Men, I would call it a quote once in a lifetime book. The lifetime being this wave of X-Men. I don't think there is another title like Way of X. I don't think there will be another title like Way of X.
Right. So as we are going on this journey, obviously, like the whole plot point was there's somebody invading the minds of people in Krakoa. So it's up to Nightcrawler to investigate, and he also wants to help save Krakoa. We got the tease in the last issue that it was Doug Haller, and everyone thought it was him because this is why we were in that Age of Apocalypse before this. Right, if you didn't read before Hux and Pox, it ended with Doug Haller putting everyone in the Age of Apocalypse so they could tell the story. So it turns out it's not Doug Haller, and he takes them to like this Orcus plant, and Johnny Boy.
I will say, like the way they write Legion in this. He's freaking hilarious.
Oh my gosh, he's so funny.
I haven't read that character and laughed like this ever. I love the TV series Legion. If you haven't seen it and you're an X-Men fan, you're missing out on a top flight television show. But then like the way they bring his really dark British sense of humor out is so good.
Right.
And I was like snapping photos constantly of it. Like, I got to share this panel. I got to share this page. This is a great line. Oh my gosh, this is so funny.
And Ty Spurrier's British.
So good. So good. He clearly gets it. And there's even jokes about how, Legion was Scottish. And so like, does he have a Scottish accent now? Are we doing Scottish accents? Like, it's very funny, the banter.
Right.
Really good.
And I also loved at the Dazzler, like I call it the pregame concert, the Hellfire Gala. I love how like Fabian Cortez is like, oh my gosh, he knows my name, guys. And he's moping about everything that happened in Sword and how he got kicked off the team. And,
or in they had the, what was it, the issue of where he like, was it Hellions or where he had to go before the Quiet Council naked and like
that was Sword.
Oh my gosh.
Good. It was hilarious.
Yeah, but like Fabian was confident, man. He was just standing there like, we're all brothers here. He said it.
So good.
It's because he wakes up, he gets resurrected. He's just standing there in all his glory, and the first person he sees is Jean.
Yeah.
I mean, I would do it too. I'm just saying.
And she's like, I do the short straw. I had to put your memories back in you. She's just giving him crap like right off the bat. She's she's throwing burner after burner right in his face, and he's just like, "Wait, don't I get to get clothes or a meal or where's my party? Isn't there supposed to be a party when you're reborn? Like what's going on?"
Oh my gosh!
She's like, no, but you should have seen. Who was it? It was like someone else's. It was it wasn't Jubilee's. It was one of the female X characters. I think it was Eclipso. I think it was Eclipso, but she's badass in Marauders. But anyway, so yeah, Nightcrawler takes what's his face? He takes Dr. Nemesis and Pixie.
Who is easily the most disturbingly graphically gross X character right now, with like parts of Krakoa plants like growing out of the side of his head. It's disgusting. I don't know if you remember the issue where he like broke off a piece and like tried to feed it to somebody.
Oh my gosh.
Disturbing.
What else has he been in other than Way of X? Because this is the first time I've seen him.
Chet's going to probably give us a little list here, but I honestly am not. I could not place him outside of the Hickman years, so I'm struggling.
That's what I mean. Has he been in any other titles in this?
I think he was. I think Dr. Nemesis was in the back half of the 90s. And then he was also in the mid 2000s when X-Men was not supposed to be a good comic because the movie sucked. And it was also owned by Fox, so Disney was always like, you could be like our fourth best book. Like, guys, keep in mind, right? The only reason why like X-Men is now getting treatment is because Disney owns them, right? They were never allowed to be a good book. They never got their respective creative teams. That's why Wolverine died. We didn't have Uncanny. That's my conspiracy theory, because they didn't have the rights and it was Fox. So like, you could be our fourth best movie, or our fourth best comic book. You could be our fourth best book, but you cannot be better than Captain America. You cannot be better than the Avengers, which most books are. You cannot be better than this character. So. And that's also why Fantastic Four didn't get treatment after Hickman left. So that's why you're seeing like these books first start getting like pressure to be good, in my opinion, is because they're selling points. They have to sell, or else you got to get people ready, guys. It's a business. We're Marvel. We gotta think 3 years ahead.
Unless you're Daredevil and it's just like near impossible to have a bad run.
Yeah, every Daredevil run has been somewhat seminal, Every Daredevil run has been nominated for an Eisner, so that's just a testament to the writers.
You want to succeed as a writer, write Daredevil.
Well, and I think I remember Zdarsky saying that like it's still by Marvel standards considered to be this like unappreciated brand, and that they let people have way more creative freedom on that book than a lot of other Marvel books.
Right. Well, that's
he basically said, I've got this amazing arc. I want to do all these things. They said, yes. He's like, I want to use Spider-Man in a couple issues. And they're like, no.
Yeah.
They told Chip Zdarsky, no, you can't use Spider-Man. And he had to like fight and argue with them. And he kept Spidey in the 2 issues or whatever he wanted to use. And they were like, no. And finally, at the end, he wore them down enough just to be like, okay, fine. You can. That's all.
It's just for this panel, guys. He's just going to tell me he's a jackass.
It's crazy.
Yeah, like I was talking to my shop a while back, and I asked him about his orders. He said, okay, he's a smaller shop. So he's like, okay, I have 37 people reading X-Men. I have 27 people reading Thor. I have 7 people reading Daredevil.
Yeah, it's like, and because of that, I think they're a lot more nonchalant at Marvel executive levels, saying like, yeah, do whatever you want with it, like have fun, like, go crazy.
Right, and Daredevil's always been a character they just want in their own world, just because Hell's Kitchen. I feel like Hell's Kitchen is like Madripoor in the fact that no one wants to go there, except Hell's Kitchen.
The Madripoor of New York.
That's exactly it. That's what my brain is linked.
Well, and the hilarity of it.
It's kind of like if New York City or like Manhattan as a whole was Gotham, Hell's Kitchen is Bloodhaven.
Yeah, I mean there are a lot of comparisons that you can have, and I think we're also getting off track in Way of X. Yeah.
But Way of X, really cool.
Really cool.
Legion is really used well, and the lab where we discover
his brain.
That his brain is basically in like a little jar. In a little cerebro.
Think about that.
And that they're using him for different experiments. And that it all comes to a head in a beautiful way, because we've seen in issue 1 that Kurt is very upset with the younger mutants and their attitudes towards death and resurrection, that they're very casual about like, oh, you haven't done it yet? Like having sex for the first time or something. And like, oh, you haven't died yet? You got to totally do it. It's amazing. And he's the one that has to basically put Legion down like a bad dog, which is an amazing moment. I thought it was so powerful.
Right. He's like, yeah, I'm sorry for saying, what the hell? Boom. Well, he didn't say what the hell. He's a Nightcrawler, but
he was very conflicted in that moment. Like, is it a sin if I'm doing it out of mercy?
Which I think is another question that's raised in this whole Krakoan atmosphere. And the two of them, he gets resurrected. He's like, yeah, Dad, I don't like Magneto, and I don't like you either. So I'm going to team up with Nightcrawler because I entered his mind, and he doesn't have answers, but I think he has more than you guys. So I'm gonna buddy with him, and then we figure out who that guy is who's been going into everyone's nightmares, and it's
the Patchwork Man, yeah.
the Patchwork Man, and it's someone we haven't seen on Krakoa yet. So it's like you're finally getting everybody now. I think, right? I think and it's Onslaught. So spoiler alert! After I just spoiled it, it's Onslaught. So I really like it. Okay, he's a carryover.
It's a really
okay,
cool.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. He's one of those timely
Okay.
characters that just kind of one of those obscure
Yeah.
timely characters that came over into Marvel.
Right.
I thought it was a great throwback to put Onslaught in there and be like,
Right.
this is where we're going to go with this particular arc. And it's been set up in other comics too, this idea that there's this strange undercurrent going on, whether it's Legion, Onslaught, or even the Shadow King in the New Mutants comics. There's a
Right.
lot of like sort of nefarious mutant darkness
Behavior,
bleeding into what everybody's doing. I think it's cool. I mean, if they team up, who knows what's going to happen?
Right. And if you guys are reading all the X books, probably like John and I, except he's not reading Excalibur.
I dropped a couple, yeah, but I hope they drop Excalibur so I don't have to worry about it anymore.
What?
Yeah, sorry.
But yeah, it's so cool seeing everything kind of tie together. And I feel like all the creators are on the same page. You know, you see something pop in another book, it gets addressed in another, but it's not in a way where if you're not reading everything, you don't feel excluded from what's going on, which I think is cool. So yeah, it's like when you're asking yourself, okay, how can I figure out Hickman? So long-term readers who know Hickman, it's always like a mystery with him, right? And I don't even think Hickman knows what Hickman is doing until he goes back into his Bible and looks at it. And there is a Bible. There is a Hickman Bible for X-Men.
Oh, has to be.
There is. I have confirmation. Marcus Toe was on the show.
And I saw a great interview, I think yesterday or the day before, on the Word Balloon YouTube channel where he was interviewing Teenie Howard. And she was talking about, because she's obviously been integral in the Hickman era, and whether it's Excalibur, Ten of Swords, whatever. Now she's moving on to X-Corps. So she's been tied in a ton, and she's talked about the challenges of this new. I mean, I can't think of another comic series that's done what X is doing right now, where you have like. It's almost like what's going on with Marvel Studios and the television side, right? Where you or where they're doing with the Star Wars TV shows, where you've basically got a person overseeing a whole slew of products that other people are making. So like Hickman is only writing sort of tangentially, but he is overseeing like an orchestrator, like this whole universe creation. Right. It's even totally different than what Claremont was doing in his heyday, where he might have had 2 books he was overseeing, but these guys are going their way, and he was working on New Mutants and X-Men, but like a ton of things are going on in this Hickman era that it's a real challenge on a whole other level.
So yeah, and like you guys said, like it's fantastic, something we've never seen before in comics. So, and I think that's cool, right? Just being a part of the whole train rides from day one. Totally. You're going to look back 20 years from now. And I'm saying this for you guys who are, I'm kind of saying this to the key collectors, even though most of these aren't keys, you're still going to look back on this run. And Claremont's run is valuable because it's a good story and people would know it's a good story. So it's valuable in that sense. It's why the prices are up, because it's a good story. They were always up before this new rocket of a spree in the X-Men universe. So I think that looking back at this, you're going to have a very similar take where you're going to want to get these issues for the story. And it's an experience to be a part of where you can actually look back and say, yeah, I remember this when I was growing, or you're going to look at it and say, yeah, I passed on it because it wasn't a key it wasn't a key book.
Well, see, I don't know. A lot of people, which comics are subjective, but a lot of people are just kind of done or haven't really been appreciating what Hickman's been doing, and whether they change their mind in 20 years or whether there's just a new wave of fans that appreciate it. I feel like this is still going to be a classic seminal run for the X-Men. Right. Especially 100%. House of X and Powers of 10. I mean, it's already seminal.
Right. So for like long-term readers, this book is like very refreshing. You're seeing your mutants together, which you've never seen before in comics, right? And you're learning new things about some of these characters that even like I'm sure John grew up with that I remember reading when I first started. years ago.
Yeah, I mean, their moment. I mean, that Moira reveal in Hoxpox was like mind-blowingly cool, and I feel like it's just it. I will say this for the people that jumped off of the bandwagon and were not interested after Hoxpox, and have been saying all along, there's too many titles. They're expecting too much of us. I get it and I understand it. But at the same time, I think if Hickman sticks the landing, right, in a couple of years, he wraps up his time and he, just like Fantastic Four, he finishes and moves on. If he sticks the landing, it's going to be an event that people will look back on for a long time. Now, if he
100%
falls flat on his face, we're gonna be really disappointed at how much time and money we've invested.
It's gonna be the Star Wars trilogy all over again.
My hope, though, is that you look at what he did at Hoxpox and all the ideas that he set up looking far into the future. I think he's got a lot of other threads going on out there that are going to come together kind of in an exciting and unexpected ways. So that's my hope. That's what I'm hoping for. I don't know how many years he's got in him. Some people are saying he's only got 1 or 2 more. Other people are saying he could go as many as 5 more. I don't know. He hasn't said, so I'm curious.
Well, he's starting another book in like September. He's leaving X-Men, giving that to Jerry Dugan, and he's
not leaving. He's doing a mystery project.
He's leaving the X-Men title.
Right.
Yeah,
and
but
giving
that
it to
doesn't
Jerry
mean
Dugan.
Leaving.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean he's leaving the whole series. He's still the head of X.
He meant that.
Okay.
Title.
He's going to another book in the X-Men universe.
So
we'll see what he does there.
Right. I just love how Chet's just like your biggest hype man, John, right now.
I love it, man. Chet and I swear, if Chet and I lived like in the same apartment building, we'd just be hanging out all day.
Yo, I'd hang out with you too, John.
He'd get me to exercise more for sure.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you said that to us last night, Bryce.
He said he was like, y'all are too skinny. Y'all better be glad we don't live in the same same neighborhood.
Yeah.
He's like,
I need the motivation.
Like, yeah. He said he wouldn't want to be seen with us in public because we're 2 scrawny white dudes. He didn't say white dudes, but I'm throwing it in there because I know.
Yeah. But I'm right there with you guys. So I need more of that.
So we can all 3 be scrawny together. Chet can be our workout coordinator, and it'll never happen. So great.
I need a life coach.
Right. So yeah, Hickman's I think will be on for another few years, right? I think at least 3.
I think we're guaranteed for at least a couple more years. I'm just curious if he's how far out he's planning.
Right. So for new readers, this is a great introduction to new characters as well, and a great mythos. And I think this is definitely going to be leading into Disney is always going to bring in characters you wouldn't expect. So this is also a great way to kind of get used to them as well, because we know that Disney, once they acquire the rights, they're going to just throw content at us. They're going to throw stuff at us that they're like, guys, we've had these ideas for years. Like, you're kidding, right? Hickman leads a series, so do I. I think we're all in that boat. But I also read Wolverine, which is very strong, by Ben Percy, and the artist was I forget who it is. Eaton. Scott Eaton. Scott Eaton. And this is great. Wolverine is still fighting Dracula and is still being like Omega Red is still kind of like the dummy and everything, but he puts everything together in a way that's really cool. And it's very grounding. It's a very grounding series. So I really appreciate how we're seeing Wolverine just be himself and he's not bored, right? That's the biggest thing that I was worried about with Wolverine being Uncle Curly, he would get bored, right? Threesomes with Scott and Jean have to conclude at some point. I mean, someone else is going to tag it eventually.
It's got that Scott Summers hate again, isn't it?
I will say, like, I've enjoyed most of the Wolverine run. I'm starting to get bored of the vampire thing. I'm starting to get to a place where I'm just like, you know what? Like, kill the vampires, move on. Like, I'm not. So this was for my opinion, one of the weaker issues that I've read in the Wolverine run. And I'm looking forward to just a different direction. Now they bring in an awesome Arakko character at the end of this issue that I was like, okay, now we're getting somewhere. We're bringing death back into this. Let's do it.
Right.
So I was pumped on that.
That was awesome. I'm like, oh, they're going to kill him now.
So I'm hopeful that next issue can move us in a slightly different direction, because I'm getting tired of it as like he's like Blade, but not as cool as Blade. So like I'm like,
I mean,
So-
yeah, I just appreciate a grounding series that Wolverine has
Yes.
never had since it's ongoing in like the 80s. So that's what I appreciate. I want to touch on this book really quick that I read. I picked it up and I had different expectations for it. I didn't read the versus the Marvel Universe part of it, but that's Shang-Chi #1 by Genuine Lang and Dike Ruan. Yang's Shang-Chi was better than the previous miniseries. This is what if he fought this hero and how would he win? So you know the outcome. You know he's going to fight this guy. And the first one was Spider-Man. I'm like, I don't want to see that. There's no way that I want to see that being in a comic book. I don't care about Shang-Chi. Now I don't like him because he's fighting Spider-Man. And then the next issue, you're fighting Captain America? Come on now. I'm out. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it, and I'm done.
Shang-Chi kills the Marvel Universe.
That's what it is. I didn't care for any of those stories. Why would I care about it with a character I never cared about in the first place?
Oh, man.
There's my rant of the night. Until we get to Spider-Man.
I freaking love that.
There's a movie, and that's all.
But, yeah, we know he's going to win, and it doesn't make sense why Spider-Man's even going out that far anyway. He doesn't even have enough money to go out there.
This is why everybody's paid their ticket right here. This is why they tune in. They want to see Brandon just lose it on something.
That's why I'm still co-hosting.
Your job is to like cool him down after, dump the bucket of water on him after.
Oh no, he starts talking about ASM in a bit. You're just gonna see me here like.
I'm telling you guys, for everyone thinking that this was a good Shang-Chi book, you're wrong. It was. I don't want to call a book garbage unless it absolutely is, and if this was. If you don't like Spider-Man, read it. If you don't like Captain America, that's the next issue. Read it. But Shang-Chi's always going to win. And I don't care. I'm sorry.
He's a top fighter in the Marvel Universe. Of course he's going to win hand-to-hand.
My ass is a top fighter.
That's his whole thing.
Wolverine. Daredevil.
That's his whole thing.
I mean, but what else can you do? It's knowing how to fight and applying it are two different things, right? But I don't like the idea of him just causing beef in the Marvel Universe for his name to get out there. Even though he's a movie coming out, you have to get his name out. And I think that putting him against some heroes that we loved, especially one that just retired from the MCU, that's not the way to do it.
Yeah.
But
2 Civil Wars later, not sure.
Do we have here?
Yeah, heroes facing heroes.
No, yeah, I'm out.
It gets old, right? That heroes versus heroes thing can get old. If not done effectively, it can be really boring.
If I were Dr. Doom, no wonder he's just chilling in Latveria.
No, he's chilling in space.
They'll take care of themselves.
Guardians.
Oh, he's chilling in space right now. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but you just listed 2 characters I care about and one that I don't. I'm sorry. But
hey, don't talk about Captain America like that.
No, I'm talking about Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi, yeah.
I care about him. I care about him, but I think I cared for him less when I met Steve Englehart, and I said, "So, what about this character? Like, you guys stayed on that book for like 2 months and dipped. You won for 3 issues." And he said, "Yeah, we didn't want to create the character, and we dipped right after because we had cosmic stuff to deal with."
They didn't want to create Shang-Chi?
Yeah, he's like, looking back years later, I'm like, that's something I would have never thought in a million years.
Dang, that's...
and I just thought that was like a real like deal breaker. So I'm like, if you invented a character, you should be excited about it, not like whatever.
Yeah, I want to see him bring back Iron Fist. I want to see them bring back Iron Fist. I know they were kind of backed into a corner with the whole Netflix thing, but I want to see Iron Fist make a return.
And I understand he's culturally important to the Marvel Universe, but I just never gravitated to his character, and I never thought that writers have been able to utilize him. And this especially just realized that, if I didn't care for his character in the first place, if his character wasn't for me, I'm not going to care about him facing my favorite hero. I'm just going to lose it.
Honestly, if we're looking at culture and we're talking about Asian characters in the MCU, just give me Wong. Just give me more Wong.
Boom. Wong. Who is he going up against in today's Instagram challenge? Red Hood. Red Hood. I was like, Red Hood would win it. But
I came at you afterwards. I'm like, dude, he would just have to like do what Doctor Strange did to Loki and just leave Jason Todd just falling for eternity.
Don't let Rod in your house. He's gonna take every Daredevil you got.
I have 2 full long boxes of Daredevil. that is, and they're both full, so I have like no room for my Zdarsky Daredevil right now because I'm so overflown by all the rest. But
Hey,
yeah,
Rob, can I have that Daredevil you have framed in your comic room?
That's the one.
if I won Comic Glories, I would have petitioned for that first Bishop. But you know, if Daymares is still here, I'm not that
I have
happy.
a raw copy that I used to like put paper on and try to trace with pencil when I was a kid. If
Very
you want
nice.
it,
Oh,
it's
wow.
got nice dents and grooves all in it.
I already have, and we have my dad and my mom in here stationed to you guys.
Oh, what's up, guys?
These are like my I'm forcing my way into that family. But Rod,
Right.
you can have my Daredevil if I can have your slab of number 7 8.0.
Dude, that thing is crazy. That is
I
a crazy book.
I gotta upgrade my number 7, man. It's
Yeah.
a beater right now.
Mine's pretty much a beater too, and that is the second most valuable Daredevil book. Period. And
That's mine.
Should be basically on par with issue 1 in my opinion.
Mine's like a 4.0, but it's incomplete. It's missing the pinup page.
Right. I love how the Chamorros just invaded this place. But
That's
I
how
know
it
she's
works.
talking to me.
Hey, Miss
I know
Chamorro,
she's
how you
talking to me.
doing?
So,
How you doing?
yep. You got. Oh, let's talk about Nightwing, guys. By Tom
Let's talk
Taylor
about
and Bruno
Speaking of
Redondo.
handsome, let's talk about Nightwing.
Yeah, let's talk about the. You know how Captain America's ass. This is DC's ass right here.
Forget DC.
So,
That's all of comics.
Who wants to start us off? Bryce, you read this, and I remember you loved it.
I did. I really loved it. To me, this is probably the best version of Dick Grayson that I've seen since Young Justice.
I would go back even further. I would be willing to
further.
say since Teen Titans.
Since Teen Titans.
I was gonna say Chuck Dixon because it really kickstarted this series, but
yeah, but it's one of those books. In the same way that Way of X is for the X-Men, this is very personal. I feel fulfilled after I read Nightwing, and that's not something I can say about every book.
Yes.
Even when, like in the last issue, somebody gets their heart ripped out, I still end up feeling fulfilled at the end. How do you do that, Tom Taylor? How?
Yeah, someone gets a hole in the heart. You're like, I can live with it.
Somebody gets their heart ripped out, and a few pages later, I'm like, "Oh, bat puppy."
Oh my gosh! And seeing Tim Drake in there, guys, it was perfect.
Absolutely.
Now,
Tim Drake was just such a welcome addition. Let's
Right now, our buddy Justin Oga Comics made a great post last night about it. And I would definitely go check that out on his channel. I know everyone in here stalks Justin, like everyone else in the comic community, but definitely go check it out if you haven't already. And I really think that it's perfect for people who are first getting introduced to DC. This is treating Nightwing like a brand new character. Now, this is a character who's always had traction, always had attention from fans. You know, he's like that role model everyone aspires to be.
Totally.
Like,
yeah.
The reason why I would look to him as my Superman rather than Clark Kent is because he's so grounded and so humanized. And I think that Nightwing is a great book to get introduced to new series, like Justin said, but it's also like whether, again, you're a long-term fan of the character, like, and you suffered from years and years and years of suffering from the editorial just hating on this guy.
Yeah.
You know, Dana Dio even went public and said, yeah, I don't like him. So, and I'm just
how
like,
can you not like Dick Grayson?
He was jealous of his butt.
Everybody likes
jealous.
Dick.
He was jealous of his ass. You know, that's it.
Well, yeah, that's like Dick Grayson to me has always been a better character than Bruce Wayne.
Right, and I think that all comic book fans who are reading this is literally using one word, and that's refreshing.
Absolutely.
So, you're getting your back row, you're getting Tim Drake in this, and you're getting a bunch of dynamics in the street level that is so great. And you're getting a dog. So everyone likes animals. Everyone likes Lion Cat in Wonder Woman. You like Ratatosk. Lion Cat's the best. It's Crypto's the only reason why I read Supergirl for a while. Sheena just reads it because of that.
Everybody only reads Inhumans for the dog. Come on.
For Lockjaw.
Who's ever read Inhumans not for the dog? I've never met that person.
Black
Get
Bolt.
out of here.
Black Bolt is the GOAT, bro.
It's powerful dialogue, I know.
No. No, but check out Saladino Med. He's writing Abbott, right?
Yeah, I think so.
him and Christian Ward did a very, very seminal Black book. This is great. I recommend it to everyone.
I've been saying, I think for ever since the second issue of this, I mean, I loved the first issue and I thought it was a great start, but I'm not a huge Tom Taylor nerd at this point. I kind of half like his stuff. I do not care for the deceased stuff. Just really not a big fan. However, now I'm almost ready to call this like DC's Daredevil. Like I almost feel like this could be a run that has similar themes, a similar character with a similar attitude and worldview, like a conscience of that universe, right? Getting the opportunity to shine because somebody's coming in and really letting them, they're being free to tell their story, right? So I could easily see this being the best book at DC for a while, much like I think Zdarsky's Daredevil has been at Marvel. So I'm feeling that kind of a vibe coming from this. That's how good it is. And I've not spoken about a DC book like that in a really long time. Right.
And when this book is done right, it's when a DC character like Dick Grayson's done right, there's no better feeling. So to everyone's point, I don't want to deep dive into like the content of this book because I just want you guys to go read it. And the reason why you guys are proud people are sleeping on this book is because Nightwing hasn't been treated properly. He died in 2004 from Battle of the Cowl. And since then, he really hasn't gotten love. Like he was, he had some rebirth stuff, but it was DiDio pushing him down. Batman 55 got shot, turned into Rick Grayson because nobody loves Dick at that point. Dan DiDio don't love Dick, and he's very adamant about that. But I just really want to say, go read it.
Absolutely. Go read it. And one more thing I'll say, John, everything you were saying about Yara Flor earlier, that is me with Barbara Gordon in this Nightwing run.
I totally respect that.
So where's my hot girl that I can talk about? I don't know. She's Polaris is still an X-Men.
Polaris.
Is she on this cover?
Oh, bro. Elektra is someone I would love just to keep at a distance, like 6 feet apart or something. I would put
she's not like snuggle material. Yeah.
she's not Brandon material, guys. She's not me material.
Too much woman for Brandon.
No, too much. Too much. You're
too many knives.
Yeah, too many knives, and I never want to use the term "too hot to handle," but in this case, I think she is
too hot-headed almost.
Yeah, and it's like in the relationship, she would wear the pants, and I would just be like, "Yep." I'm afraid for my life, but yep.
She was trained by Styx, so
you guys do want us to talk about Daredevil, so we're not going to right now. We're going to save that.
No, sorry, I didn't mean to jump the gun on that.
We're going to talk about Star Wars, The Bounty Hunters. This is by Ethan Sachs, Paolo Villanelli. This is the tie-in to the War of the Bounty Hunters. I used to read this book a while ago because I was such a fan of Boba Fett being relevant in comics. But it was like the art was so smudged with Valance and Dengar and Bosk. I fell off, and whenever Boba Fett barely got treatment, it looked stunning. I was like, this is what I want, guys. But they ventured him off the book, and then he went behind everyone's back, did this whole World of Bounty Hunters thing. So we're picking up on the plot point where Valance and Dengar are running away from Forlom and Zukas. So you kind of have to have a feel for these characters. I wouldn't say that this is a good jumping on point. You just if you're a Star Wars fan, it is because you know these characters, of these characters, and they're bounty hunters. So one thing is they're never loyal. So everyone's out for Boba Fett. Dengar was one of Boba Fett's mentors, and now he wants to kill him. So, and Valance, we get more of his backstory for people who are new to this book. So I thought that was very reassuring. The art is still a little bit smudgy for my liking, and it's basically a bunch of bounty hunters picking and choosing who they're trying to kill each other so they can go kill Boba Fett, and they're trying to track him. So they're going to Nar Shaddaa, but everyone knows that they're not on Nar Shaddaa. The flashback scenes, I don't like the coloring in the flashback scenes because they look like they're so set in the present, and I think in a flashback you might want to have more of a grayer tone, which that didn't happen, but it was still a good issue. You still get a lot of good character moments between these bounty hunters, so it's definitely delivering on that aspect. It doesn't drive the bounty hunter story anywhere because none of the main characters in the story are in there.
Who's writing this again? I can't remember.
Ethan Sachs.
Sachs.
So
Ethan Sachs. Okay.
they brought him in to do Star Wars with like Edge of the Galaxy, and then they brought him. They had him doing other work, but it didn't really. Then they just gave him this book, and it just fell short. But I don't know. It's enjoyable. I get about like a C+. The art wasn't great. Paolo Villanelli did the Orlando series with Roddy Barnes a while ago. So, it's okay.
I mean, I thought it was a solid issue. This is my first issue of this series that I'm reading just because I'm reading the War of the Bounty Hunters tie-ins.
Right.
And I really liked Valance's character. I didn't really get a feel about the other three with Dengar and the other two. I can't remember their names, but
Dengar, Zukas, Forlong.
Zukas and Forlong, yeah.
And Valance.
But yeah, Valance is the one that I feel like, give it a couple more issues, I could see myself getting attached to a character like Valance.
I don't know. He's definitely one of those bounty hunters that is a little bit more. They use the term soft among them, but Boba Fett was like that too, so they could take it in a different direction.
Yeah.
Killmonger says, if you've read the Kanan Jarrus comic, which I have, what did you think of the changes in the Bad Batch? I appreciated the Kanan Jarrus comic because it was a good introduction to Pepe Larraz. That was his first work of Marvel I read. But, and yeah, he did do that book. So definitely go check that out for Pepe Larraz before he became Pepe Larraz. But I enjoyed like the little subtle changes. I think that they definitely sped up a whole lot of stuff. And if Kanan is looking back like so many years later, right? If he's telling the story in his adulthood about as a kid, obviously there's going to be gaps in the memory. So I think the moves that they made with the Bad Batch episode were very fitting. I liked how we got Deepa Billaba and we got a close to her character finally, because even in Attack of the Clones, even in like the expanded universe in Dark Horse, that was teased in the Clone Wars. That was teased. So that has been held over our heads for a long time. And I think that getting that payoff was more important to me than seeing Kanan, I feel like I just said anuses, but Kanan's journey. You know, that's really how I feel. I didn't mind it. I enjoyed it very much. But I think Deepa Billaba is really what sold that part. Not necessarily the clones. Did anyone else have anything to add?
I haven't seen Bad Batch, so I had to shed my headset there for a sec.
I am not a Star Wars head when it comes to anything outside of the like live action movies and shows. So like I've watched very little of the animated shows, and I've really only read some of the early comics back in the day, and that's pretty much it.
Right.
Oh, and I've read a couple of the Vader series, the Chuck Soule and the Charles Soule and the Kieran Gillen.
The Greg Pak one right now is amazing.
I love Greg Pak. I think he's super underrated. But I didn't love any of that stuff. I wasn't like obsessed with it. I kind of have fallen off the wagon for Star Wars comics and animated stuff.
Right. So yeah, that's my answer to that. I'm definitely like a huge Star Wars fan. Like I'm always like, my trades are half Star Wars. Like I don't know why. I just love reading Star Wars in trade because it's like it just feels like the show.
Right, you love what you love, man. If it's sure. Scratching the itch, then go for it. You know,
right? Like yeah, I'll always read Star Wars in trade, and anytime like an Omni drops or any of the trade, I'm like, boom, I gotta get it.
Nice. Get that Dr. Afra Omni.
Yeah, Greg Pak is great, very underrated. So Perry is just reiterating what you said, 100%. Chet exit the chat because he's not a.
Is this Star Wars talk?
He calls himself the Jedi Knight, but Jedi is not a Jedi, so I don't understand.
He says it's a jab at Star Wars.
I went to a con in Baltimore, and Greg Pak was there, and we had talked a couple of times when I went by his booth. Oh, yeah. And then I rode in an elevator in my hotel, and he gets in, and he like totally remembered me after all the hundreds of people he probably talked to. And then we talked in the elevator on the way up, and then I saw him at breakfast the next morning. He was like one of the nicest guys.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I met him at Baltimore too, and I met him at the Third Eye stand, and they were talking, and he said, "Excuse me," and he like grabbed a book, and he like. And I was like, "Oh no, what are you reading?" Blah blah blah. I didn't know it was him. And the dude at the desk was like, "Do you not know who that is?" I'm like, because he had like a hat on and like a hood. So I was like, Yeah, I don't
That's
know.
Steve
but-
Rogers disguise.
Yeah, he was like in total, yeah, I'm just lounging right now. So it was that was it. And I was like, oh, Greg Pak, no way. And we all talked to. It was a fun memory.
Yeah, I mean that's these creators are extremely down to earth a lot of times.
Right.
More than maybe I would expect.
Right.
But
And
And I read a little of his Ronin Island too. It's a good read too.
Right.
all
Right.
right.
Right. Next book I kind of want to talk about, John. I know you have to dip soon.
I got a couple minutes. Is there one more you wanted to do?
Actually,
I realized actually most of the ones I've got left. I don't think I've read the ones you wanted to talk about. So
did you read Daredevil?
I did read Daredevil.
Let's talk about Daredevil.
Let's do
Let's
it.
talk about Daredevil, John's last book, and then we'll get to the 2 books I hated. So
Then I'm definitely watching the replay for the rant.
Oh, you're
my
gonna want
gosh.
to.
Day of 7 Justice League.
I'm gonna want to.
So it's by Chip Zdarsky, Marco Cicchetto. So we're dealing with Daredevil in the hospital, and Detective Cole is like, "You are an idiot." They're all saying he's an idiot.
So true.
That's how.
What
we
else
open
is
the book.
new?
That's how we open the book. And we're kind of like, everything is kind of, the circle is getting smaller and smaller in this book. Right, that's the one thing that I really appreciate about this story is we're getting to that arc. We're getting to that arc that Zdarsky's like, this is what I've been building to. So we've been hinted at the angel with wings. We now know who that is. Legion, and he is here for the hashtag Brandon rant. This is not a rant until another route. You missed the Shang-Chi rant. Now this is more of a review show than a rant, but there are many rants in. I don't know. I'm always bound to go off on at least 2. But
At least 2. Okay then.
Fair.
But this is more of a review show. But we're getting to see more.
You better stick around, Mark, because he's apparently going to go on a DC rant here in a second. But
No,
we did show a lot of
right.
love for Nightwing a little bit ago.
We did because
sure.
I do love comics. It's just some really irritate me.
Yeah, I
I don't buy it.
I think this was a fun issue. I think they definitely showed some challenges that both Elektra and Daredevil are having living by Daredevil's code. Like Matt Murdock's code is throwing a lot of wrenches into how Elektra would normally handle business. There was an awesome fight where the whole time she's thinking, I should have just stabbed this guy in the gut and killed him by now, but I'm just getting the crap beat out of me because I'm not allowed to kill people.
Right. I also really enjoyed the subplot in the beginning that we got of her and Alice, which is like, she's still back and forth. And I think that's the biggest struggle to Alice is the fact that Elektra hasn't committed 100% yet to her. Which she's always had commitment issues. So her being in Daredevil's costume is also, again, it's giving her something to commit to. And it's something that it's very challenging for her as a character to commit to.
Totally.
So Kingpin and what's her face, Typhoid Mary, they're like sharing a toast. They're trying to get amends because this circle is getting smaller as Butch's and Foggy's and Daredevil and Elektra's. Their circle is getting smaller. Yep. So Kingpin is like, people are coming for me, and I got to have somebody on my side. We got Travis the Man. Station to you, sir. Station. Oh, I did not mean to. Oh, and Sheena gets all the hearts. Come on, bro. What's wrong with you? Right, so Elektra goes into the bar to confront Butch, who has really been like the kingpin of the squad, and she goes in there with the whole "I'm Daredevil, you're gonna change" attitude, which is not how Matt would have played this. And Butch is like, "See, while you gave people their freedom, you own like 90% of Hell's Kitchen in retail, but I'm giving them an escape from Hell's Kitchen." Victoria. Oh, I think that's V. I think that's Read Across the Stars, but it might be.
Is that V?
It might be. Station Eric. And for all you guys coming
Best
in,
mustache on YouTube.
Yes, sir. If you guys did read anything, let us know in the comments below. But and Butch is like, "That's not how we do things." And he's like, "You didn't win the people. Like Matt Murdock was able to win the people." He's like, "Yeah, you didn't, because now you're here ruining their party." And they all fight her, and it's people of the hand as well as normal civilians. So like John said, as she's like going through this and she's trying to state to her code, she's also like, oh no, Like, I could have easily just gutted the dude.
Well, I mean, because the way she fights is to the death, but
right.
the way Daredevil fights is to the pain, I guess you could say, like Princess Bride style.
Right.
Like, I think that she's having a challenge to adapt the way she is used to taking on opponents, which is no holds barred. I'm just going to gut you and move on to the next guy.
Right. And she's also in the back of her head, she's thinking about Alice, so that's making her a weaker fighter, which is really brought out in both Zdarsky's storytelling and Shadow's art. It's gorgeous, the action sequences and the coloring as well. But Alice takes a dude's like stick, his staff, and beats him with it, grabs his gun, and shoots the guy who was beating on Elektra, which that was like a whole oh my gosh moment. That was like oh my gosh, because like Elektra was like, now I see me, right? She's like, I see a reflection of myself that's ugly, you know. So that was just like, it's a learning experience for Natasha.
Which it's crazy to think that all of this came out of a King in Black tie-in.
It wasn't a King in Black tie-in. It was Zdarsky's story. It was just had elements of King in Black.
I know. I'm just it was technically a King in Black. Like this is probably the most consequential quote King in Black tie-in that there was.
Right. So we figure out that it's the hand because like they fade away. Like the hands like kind of look down to the ooh. So that's hinting at Stick's prophecy that we saw earlier in the series. And then Daredevil he's going back. But Fisk is also really getting in charge of his end game. He has somebody who is in Ravencroft, and that's Bullseye from the Battle of Hell's Kitchen. And he comes back and he's like, yeah, your experiment worked. Now I'm here to kill everyone and you. So he's like, thank you, but you're dead. And the next cover hints at that's who Bullseye is. Bullseye is the one who's carrying their masks. And remember, guys, only one is going to survive. So that's a prophecy. And I love how Daredevil's mask is yellow and Elektra's is red. So you're still getting like that classic feel that I know Rod is always talking about, that he would have loved Elektra to be in that costume.
Yeah.
But I think Daredevil is going to go back to that. I really do. I think Daredevil's going to go back to that.
I mean, you think we're going to get Death of Elektra Part 2?
We're going to get a death of somebody different. We might get I don't know.
He's paying a lot of homages to Miller or Bendis or Brubaker. There's been the whole Brubaker run is Daredevil in jail almost. Like you get a huge chunk of that run where Matt's locked up.
Right.
And I think that it's been fun to see the way he kind of has played a little homage to some of those previous story arcs, but put his own kind of spin on it. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get a Death of Elektra in a different version, like maybe the little girl dies.
Right.
I don't know. I think I wouldn't be surprised to see him go that route and have Elektra have to deal with some of the things that Matt's gone through.
Right. And I think that's a great point because
I think dark.
Yeah. Elektra is definitely growing up. Zdarsky feels a lot like the Nocenti run, which was dark and mysterious. That was also because Typhoid Mary was being pushed, and like that whole kind of like church background was really being pushed in that era of Daredevil. What's going on? Station, everybody.
Station.
So I don't know. For me, it's like Matt just had a run where he almost died, right? So that was by Charles Soule.
Yeah.
And Phil Noto kind of did that art. So I don't know. Is it too early to redo that? But it feels so different. But then again, Elektra has died at the hands of Bullseye before. Will it be Butch? Can this be the time where Foggy dies? Can this be the time where
could be Mike?
It could be Stick. It could be Mike Murdoch, you know?
We need to kill that guy at some point. Although I will say this is the most entertaining Mike Murdoch has ever been. I mean, he was a joke character. And then all of a sudden Chip Zdarsky's like, but let me play with him.
Yeah, he's like, just bring him under my wing. I want
Right.
Blind Spot to come in, though. I want Blind Spot to come in at some point.
I'm a big Typhoid Mary fan, and I've been very pleased at the way he's been using her because I feel like she is often undervalued, underappreciated. And through the Battle of Hell's Kitchen, when she's like dressing up as the nun and just like lighting up that church, I was like, oh, this is crazy cool.
Right, and that was like the whole Nascenti feel of it.
Totally.
And I think all these writers have really just laid out the groundwork in Zdarsky's like, let me take from everyone with my own stuff and elevate it. So that's definitely this whole feel of it.
Totally.
So I don't want to speculate on who's gonna die, who's gonna be the one, but because it's not important in this book. It's important, but it's not really what I want to do. I want to enjoy it.
Right.
It's Daredevil, guys. Come on, it's the best book in Marvel, so don't ruin it. Don't make me ruin it for you too. If I'm right, I don't want to say, guys, I was right. I told you, because I think that's ruining the enjoyment too.
Right.
So, yeah. Anyway, John, I know you're
I'm gonna head out. Yeah, I've got to head out. My buddy's doing a birthday stream, but I know you guys are gonna rock on and get to some good DC drama. I appreciate you having me on.
Spider-Man first.
Play around.
Ooh.
Or burn on some Spider-Man, of course, had to happen. I will say, shout out, there's some great indies this week. If people aren't grabbing some Layla Starr,
yes,
some Phantom on the Scan, Cullen Bunn, and of course, Walk with Monsters finished their story. So that was really great. So
right. And I know you've been talking about that, and you missed off on Tag Team Thursday because the news was a little stale. So
it's the time of the year when I'm writing report cards and getting things done for the end of the school year. So I tend to be a lot more busy, and it's harder to edit and shoot videos. So
or you can just go with the news is being stale right now in comics. Guys.
There's that too. Yeah, nothing's happening. Books aren't going anywhere. No. Speculation's not happening.
Yeah. So
thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, is the MCU still happening?
No problem, man.
I don't know anything about that. No, nothing that I know of. My daughters won't stop obsessing about Loki, but yeah.
Yeah, we got a Jameson John, so we can get back to his Ben York duties.
I got to get some pictures of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Man. John
totally
was good
have
having
somebody
you.
wear a Spider-Man mask. You should totally do that. Do like a Spider-Man show, have someone wear a Spider-Man mask.
Find some pictures of Spider-Man.
Yeah, that'd be so cool.
But we just don't know what he does with those pictures of Spider-Man. Okay, guys, I'm gonna get out of here.
See you guys. Let's talk Spider-Man, guys. All right.
I don't know if we should after that.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, Amazing Spider-Man number 66, written by Nick Spencer, who's doing a CDC signing. Why? Your prices are going up, so let's get the worst name in comics.
Nick Spencer.
That's gonna make people pay the extra prices. Oh my gosh, guys.
Has he even introduced a character in this run other than Gog?
Oh my gosh. But anyway, Mark Bagley is doing the interior, so that's why I like this issue a lot more than I've liked the past 20. Which I did. I actually enjoyed this issue a little bit, except you barely see any of Peter Parker. He's not really dealing with what happened because you only get a page of that. But it's more like we're wrapping up everything with Baron Mordo. He's been starting every issue. Every issue has started with Baron Mordo and Kindred. And he's like, yeah, you served your purpose. You're going back to your dad.
I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. It makes me so mad that these Doctor Strange characters are just floating around the Marvel Universe right now.
Right. So Kingpin is with his son now, and he's like, oh my gosh, we're back together, man. I always loved you, but he didn't. He never liked him. Let's be honest, people. But Kindred overtakes his father and just like completely slings him across the face, which is going to get paid off later. So then like we turn to everything going on. Spider-Man's like talking to the new Avengers because that's what they are. Don't bash. Nope. You wanted Kindred to be a new character? Kindred was created but prior to this run. It's just this was elevated in this story, so it's important. And this was the thing we all wanted from Nick Spencer, but it fell in its face. So he has to make up for it now, and I think that he's somewhat doing a good job. This book is still very jumpy. It's as jumpy as all the other issues that we've had. It's just he's tying up the loose ends, and he's coming to a close on some things, which is something that I've criticized him for not doing. So I will applaud him for doing it this time. And I know that I have been trashing it, which because it is. But we finally get a moment with Randy and his father about who they're dating, and then we get a moment with Tombstone and Joe. So it's cool to see them kind of get to a truce. It's like a temporary truce because their kids are dating.
So that was resolved.
Yeah.
And then it was kind of unresolved with Tombstone's comment in the last issue, and then now it's being resolved again.
Yeah, so it's very back and forth. It's very back and forth, and it's like, okay, this is important. Nick Spencer obviously liked the story when he was reading comics, so he's gonna do it. But we finally see what Mary Jane has been up to, and she's getting in a limo, but it's this other guy, and he takes her elsewhere. Okay, the guy is, what's his name? Oh my gosh, Overdrive. His name's Overdrive. Who's this character? I don't remember. But
Was he like a DJ?
Yeah. But Carly Cooper is also important in this story because after Kindred overtakes his father, he puts him in a jail cell, as well as Carly Cooper, which she was in a very intricate part of that circle. Back in the days of Spider-Man and Harry and MJ having that click. And Betty Brant is also in this book, but she's pregnant. So I'm like, you're introducing something else that I don't care about, nor do you have time to tell. So I don't care. Carly wakes up with Harry, or not with Harry, with Norman in Ravencroft that is now overtaken by Kindred. And you kind of have to put those pieces together that he's overtaking it. Because you have to have the knowledge that Norman is in charge of Ravencroft. Fitz doesn't care about that anymore because he's with his son. And he got what he wanted. And Kindred is prepping for what's next. So that is the Sinister War. So he's overtaking Green Goblin. And Carly Cooper is a personal matter. So, Betty Brant pregnant? I didn't want that. I don't care. But, it's very jumpy. There's a lot going on, except we're wrapping up some points. But he just goes and introduces new stuff. I'm like, but no, you're in the same problem again. Jesus. Can I have a request from ComixKings?
Stand up, show off the t-shirt, my guy. Show off the t-shirt.
This is the t-shirt.
And is the MCU right there, ladies and gentlemen.
Boom.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. I like our t-shirts too. I have a Millennium Falcon one on under this, but I got cold.
Yeah. That's Amazing Spider-Man. I'm still reading the book because this issue was somewhat better than it was the best issue we had in months. So I can live with it.
But what is that saying?
It's not saying anything because the fact that Vincentini's not doing the art and it's Mark Bagley, I'm so much more at peace. But it's still the same storytelling, obviously, because it's Nick Spencer. It's just it looks better. It's the same story, just it looks better.
Yeah.
So if I was up here in my I don't want to say hatred, but dislike for the book, I'm now like here because Mark Bagley's drawing it. But that's that.
Mark Bagley always helps.
Mark Bagley's the best Spider-Man artist of all time.
Facts.
But last book is Justice League number 61 by Brian Michael Bendis and David Marquez. Nothing happens in this book.
It
Not
hasn't
a damn
the past
thing.
2 issues. I didn't care. I skipped this one, and I feel like I didn't miss much.
You didn't, because we learn about where everyone else is in this world that Brutus has brought us to in Naomi's home world. So everyone's powers is now like they're either being heightened or diminished, right? Like they're not able to access certain parts of their powers. Obviously, Batman doesn't suffer from that because he doesn't have powers. But Naomi's, oh my gosh, yeah, he has powers. You didn't know that, but
He's Batman.
Right, like Canary's scream is off. Naomi's powers are very much there. Black Adam is a little bit more, or Adam Shazam, whatever he is. Oh, I should stop doing that then. But I don't know how to feel. I feel violated. But yeah, we're just like seeing where everyone else is in this world that Brutus is in, or that we're brought to, and it's like they all meet up at one point, and Brutus is obviously more powerful now, and the whole thing is like, yeah, I could ask for amnesty on Earth for my people, but it's better to fight you guys because it's more fun, right? So that's really stupid. It's really stupid. Oh my gosh, that's stupid just saying it out loud. But he stomps on Superman and stomps on Adam. So the next issue is going to be they're all going to unite like they did at the end, and then they're going to fight Brutus. So that's what the last issue. This issue didn't do anything, guys.
Wait, that was it?
Yeah, that was it. Nothing happened.
It was 20 pages, and that was it?
That was it. Nothing happened.
Oh my gosh.
So
that might be the quickest breakdown I've ever heard.
Because nothing happened. I don't think, like, this book wasted my time. Like, screw my money because it's Bendis, but it wasted my time. You're not going to know.
Oh, man.
Right. So I don't know. I didn't like that. I didn't like that aspect of it. But anyway, Bryce, you wanted to talk about Flash for a brief minute?
Yeah, so I've just been kind of keeping tabs on the Flash book right now. It's definitely gone downhill since Joshua Williamson exited the book. But this issue 770, was the best of the 3 issues that has been released so far. The art was a huge step up from the last issue. And it's starting to feel like there's actually some direction and actually a story being told other than them just trying to figure out what to do with Wally.
Right.
So, I mean, at least it feels like as of this issue, it's going in a decent direction. And it is getting better.
Right. So would you say this issue especially is more focused around Wally? Because I was flipping through it and I saw a lot of Eobard in there.
Eobard really only came into play on the last couple of pages.
Okay.
It was mostly Wally in Jay Garrick's body. So you got a lot of Jay, and then you got a lot of Wally.
Okay.
And you got a lot of Hitler.
I don't know how I feel about that. Okay, yeah, I dropped it for a reason. But I'm glad that the art got better because that was like my major it was my major flaw in the book. Was the art was not that fun for me. It was like too digital, and I thought that it was like using too many effects that were in the Snyder Cut. It was like, yeah, those are cool, but this is the only artist that can do it.
Felt like layering Instagram filters on top of each other.
Yeah, so it was like very blurry, and I know the Flash is supposed to be a blurry character, but not like that. But quick little recommendation for new books coming out next week. Something is Killing the Children, number 16 is the origin of Erica. So I'm looking forward to that, and I think a lot of people are. So I don't need to tell you to pick up the book. Obviously, everyone's been looking forward to this since the end of the previous arc. Action Comics 1031 and Alien number 3, both Philip Kennedy Johnson books that I've already read, and I will be interviewing Philip Kennedy Johnson on Wednesday, so he will be on the show for you guys to enjoy. 7 o'clock Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific. So definitely tune in for that. X-Men number 20. We got
X-Men back.
Yeah, we got 2 Bounty Hunter tie-ins with Dr. Aphra number 10, Vader number 12. New Mutants up picking up. Everyone's favorite Beta Ray Bill is coming out. And Detective and Robin are going to be on my pull list as well. So,
and then indie-wise, I know you've really been enjoying Shadecraft.
Yeah,
too.
that comes out this week.
Coming out.
That's coming out in Department of Truth, which I'm a few issues behind, but I have all the issues. Some of these indie books are just so hard to keep up with. Like, I don't know how you guys do it. Like,
you pretty much just went through my entire pull. I mean, I got Detective, X-Men, Action, Vader, Alien, Robin, maybe Something is Killing the Children. Beta Ray Bill, Titans, Aphra, Shadecraft.
Oh yeah, Teen Titans comes out.
Oh yeah, you dropped Teen Titans Academy. I'm sticking with that one for a little bit.
I might flip through issue 3, and if it's worth it, I'll pull it.
And then Mr. Miracle starts next week.
Yeah, I don't care.
You don't care?
Nope, it's not scot-free. It's some other Joe Schmo.
Fair enough. Hey, you never know that. Even though it's not like the star power of Rom V, it could end up being like the way they brought in this new Swamp Thing character.
And if someone tells me to go pick it up, I will give it my attention and I'll try it out. But I don't want to. I feel like this week being like kind of a break week for me, where I only have 13 books, is more of a resting period for my wallet. So I don't think that I'm gonna be just buying just to buy right now. Or just to like have extra 3 weeks, have enough. So
yeah. One more I'll mention for any of you guys that may have been Milestone fans back in the day. They're doing their relaunch next week, and it was supposed to be a digital first, but now I think it was a digital first. Okay, because I thought they were releasing digital and print at the same time.
No, so they already released the digital first. So if you already read it digitally, you know all about it. It's the same thing. I might pick it up. I actually might pick it up just to get a feel of the origin of Static Shock and that universe. Because I'm not too familiar. And Icon, I'm not too familiar with it and Hardware and all those guys. So I'm not familiar with it. And I'm not going to pretend like I know what I'm talking about with them. So I might check it out just for like the history and like kind of the nostalgia that it holds for older fans.
That's kind of where I'm at too.
I'm also like that's the universe. I don't know. I feel like I don't want to shut the door on it, but I'm also like I don't want to have those opinions as like a newer person because I heard it took the origin in a different direction than the original. So I don't want to be that person. It's like, oh my gosh, I love the origin for something it wasn't for originally. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe DC will turn it all into like an omnibus. So
maybe
the art is so much better. Yeah, I know that Dennis Cowan is like the helm of all this, and I know Vida Ayala is a part of it, and Brandon Thomas, and this all attributed to, of course. And Reginald Hudlin, isn't it? And
Vida Ayala, I think, is doing Static.
I thought she was doing Hardware, but I'll definitely pick it up if it's very much recommended to me. I'll definitely give it a go. I mean, I'm not closing the door, but yeah, it's something I've never been into. It's something I was ever introduced to. So I don't know. I'm open.
It'll be interesting to see how it goes if we stick with it. It'll be easy to see how it goes.
100%. And if you guys are catching the replay, I forgot to tell everyone. Make sure you like, subscribe to the channel. Right? If you did read any of these books and you do want to comment down below, you are more than welcome to just show support to the channel. Your interaction really is appreciated, and it goes a long way. So even if you guys did have a book that we didn't touch on, what are you looking forward for us to review next week? What do you guys want to hear our thoughts on? What did you read? What did you like? Anything you guys want to comment down below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe, turn on the bell so you never miss an episode of any of our interviews that we have coming up in the near future, because I have a lot coming for you guys. I really do.
For sure.
Okay. Yeah, I heard Static was changed up. So I know
which is a shame because he was always the big one out of that bunch.
Right. So definitely, guys, a lot of content are coming your way. 200 is only the beginning, and I never really look at the sub count. I'm not too pressed about it because I just care that people are interacting with the content that Bryce and I put out on this platform. So thank you all very much for your interaction with the channel that is ComixKings.
Yeah, thank you guys. It's been a fun ride, and I know I'm excited for more.
Right.
And hopefully you guys stay along for the ride with us. Thanks again to John. If he sees the end of this replay, thanks again to John for hopping on with us.
100%. Big shout out to John who hit me up right before. Lee says wait. Lee like 10 seconds late. Dun, 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 dun.
What are we waiting on?
I don't know what we're waiting on. We're waiting on Legion, guys. This could take any day.
I'm willing to wait for it. I'm willing to wait.
What were 3 books we were not impressed with this week? Shang-Chi.
I don't know if I really had any.
Shang-Chi, ASM, and Justice League off the bat.
I don't know if I really had any that I wasn't impressed with.
Bounty Hunters.
Daredevil, the art kind of. The Hawthorne part of the art kind of bothered me a little bit. I wouldn't say I wasn't impressed with it, but that was the weakest part of that book for me, and it was kind of a disappointment. But that's my only thing. When Chichetto's drawing, that book is perfect, in my opinion.
I preach this comment, Justice League Dark is better than Justice League, so I don't like showing Justice League love, because I feel like the more copies that book sells,
the longer Bendis is going to be on
the book. But also, like, if you're buying the book, if you're buying Justice League because you like Justice League Dark, the sale isn't going to, hey, people like Justice League Dark. It's no, people like Justice League, and they're touching on Justice League Dark. So
Yeah.
if you really want to see a new Justice League book, just boycott the book. So it wasn't bad. Justice League wasn't bad. It was just the way it's structured didn't move the plot forward. What, 5 minutes? Yeah, exactly. Nothing happened. It looks great. The art's fantastic. David Marquez does his thing.
David Marquez was doing a great job.
No, I love Bendis, right? The reason why I'm so critical on Bendis is because he's written some of my favorite comics, and this is such a letdown. Like, look at the work he's done with Marvel. He has a very deep understanding of the Marvel characters, and I don't think that same understanding is being reflected.
And say I'm not Bendis biased. I was never really a Bendis fan or a Bendis hater. I'm just bored with the book.
Yeah, I'm not a Bendis hater. It's just like I have high expectations. His issue the first issue was a homage to New Avengers. Of course I'm gonna have expectations. You should be boycotting ASM if I'm gonna say that. You know what? I should, but it's Spider-Man, so that's not gonna happen.
And it's fun. It's fun to listen to his rants. Are you gonna tell him not to buy the book that he rants about every 2 weeks?
Every week now.
Every week?
It came out last week as well, and the week before.
Oh, wow. Is it coming out? It's not coming out next week, though.
Yeah, and I would agree with this statement. I believe Bendis is just not in it. And I think that signing over with DC was strictly for money and investments because Marvel wasn't going to give him that money. And I don't think that at the time, like, he already got his royalties, and I think he's still getting money from Marvel from royalties. So I think DC just gave him money, and that's really what the game's all about. And they said, here's Superman, here's a lot of money, go write it. And he said, I don't know anything about Superman, but okay.
Figure it out.
And I think that's the same thing about Justice League. And they needed a team writer to step up, and I think their best option is Bendis.
Yeah.
So I think that I would, if I were in DC's editorial, and I'm Jim Lee, I would take that gamble 10 times over. Because you can, if you need a team writer, Bendis is still a strong option. It's just like Legion said, he's past his prime. So, yeah, that's it. You know, writers have burned out, and I think Bendis, the fact that he's still writing after a near-death incident, it says enough about who he is as a writer, as a person. So, and his commitment to comics really does go a long way. So, there's a lot to be appreciated in that. I don't hate on Bendis. It's just I expect a lot from Bendis because he's proven it before. That's just really my thought.
When you've reached the standard, people will hold you to that standard.
Right.
Always.
So that's just really what it is. That's just it. But that's not hating on the book. It's not hating on the book. It's just, okay, there are other Bendis books. I'm reading his New Avengers right now. I really am. Did I read PKJ Superman last week? Yes, it's very enjoyable. And I read all of PK Johnson, Philip Kennedy Johnson's content that he puts out because he's a friend of the show and he's a great creator. So and I'm really enjoying his stuff that he's doing. So yeah, definitely pick up Superman, guys. That's another book that I like to push on this channel. Wonder Woman
Superman,
as well.
Action Comics.
Alien, even though it's a majority Greg LaRocca, not Greg LaRocca, Salvador LaRocca drawing himself the book. I almost said Greg LaRocca, but Salvador LaRocca. Salvador LaRocca to the rescue! That's my biggest pet peeve of the book. Man. Hey, if it weren't for that, I would love it. I just think that there could have been a better artist. Is he wants in the world for his kids? Yeah. So that's really it. That's his commitment. So I think that's boom. Am I excited for Jonathan to take over the main title? No. I'm not. No.
I don't know. It's Tom Taylor, so I'm kind of looking forward to it. I'm gonna give it a shot.
I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read it because it's Tom Taylor. But am I ecstatic? Am I looking forward to it? Am I hyping it up like Nightwing? No. I'm not much of a fan of Teenage John, so it's something that I think if he's in the safest hands possible, if that character were to elevate to safest hands, I should say, because Phil Kennedy Johnson is doing a lot. So between Philip Kennedy Johnson and Tom Taylor, like you're saying, I think that they're going to have great opportunities for him. So I think I will end up liking it, but I'm not excited because I was not excited for that whole switch in the first place. But I do think that they are in their best hands possible.
I still think Jonathan shouldn't have. I mean, Jonathan obviously shouldn't have aged up. Now, what? Teenage John was a total must.
Yeah, I know. But I don't know. I don't agree with that.
I mean, hey, like I respect your opinion, man, but I don't get it.
I think that's the biggest middle finger to Peter Tomasi, though. But we are going to wrap up the show. Thank you all for tuning in to Comics Kings. Once
Thank
again,
you guys as always.
Yeah, follow us on Instagram. It's all right here. Boom, Comics Kings and Hillbilly Comics. And we will catch you guys elsewhere.
Later, y'all. Have a good one.